Greetings in the love and light of our infinite prime creator. The videos and teachings that I provide through this Aum-Bond-A Servants of the Light School, they are based upon the fact that the viewer, you, my esteemed viewer, are familiar and accept the fact that this world is currently being run by, however, is being rid currently of negative extraterrestrials. That this world, that the Illuminati, the deep state, the dark cabal, the dark forces, their fourth dimensional support were have been a group of negative extraterrestrials, either embodied or disembodied. That's what my whole message has been from day one, talking about transcending the digital matrix, the archons, gnosis. This is all based upon and provided within the context that you, the viewer, understand that the world has been run by negative extraterrestrials, either embodied or disembodied, which exploit us, humans, divine, Christed, ensouled humans in possession of their soul awareness connection, that these negative extraterrestrials, either embodied or disembodied, have exploited us, they've hunted us and used us to meet their physical needs to become embodied in this galaxy, and to use us for their non-physical need for low vibrational energy as food. My videos assume that you're somewhat familiar with what is known as the deep state. And that is applicable to definitely a phrase that has been, it's been talked about here in the United States, but it's a worldwide organization under many different guises and whatnot. But the term deep state refers to those hidden hands of power that are directly related to these negative extraterrestrials, okay? So the deep state is a term that I hope you're familiar with, all right? What the deep state, what its definition is, what they do, what they've done. And if you've followed any kind of alternative news, at least for a little bit of time, then you must be familiar with that term. So that all this must be within the narrative of the videos and the lessons that I provide here on this channel. All right, these videos assume that you're aware of positive, benevolent extraterrestrials who are here to help us. Now, I realized in one of the last videos I made where I was going on, you know, our ancestors knew them as demons, but today we know them as aliens. Well, that was, when I said aliens, that wasn't to cover and equate with all of the extraterrestrials. It was a specific group of negative ETs of the Draconian Empire that I was very specific by naming those 6 races that comprise the evil eye of the Draconian Empire. However, that does not mean that all of our neighbors, our cosmic neighbors, are of that persuasion. Not saying that everyone else is, you know, 100% angels, but compared to the Nebu Empire, the people that are out in the skies are benevolent, Christed extraterrestrials who are here to help us. That is also part of the narrative of the foundation bedrock of what I know, my gnosis. Okay, this isn't something that I'm trying to say, this is a new belief. This is inner knowing gnosis based on experience, experiential encounters, my own experiences. This is the bedrock of my gnosis. So I get a lot of different people coming through and leaving different kind of comments and what have you, talking about Judaism is, you know, with the negative empire. I mean, look, if you haven't figured it out by now, We are all in this together. Okay, everybody has their hands dirty in some way, form, fashion, or another. So I don't personally, in my belief matrix, has nothing to do with pointing my fingers at any one group of people and saying and continuing to marginalize that group of people. If you haven't figured it out, it simply comes down to two different paths in this world. And if you're going to maintain, keep calling a group of people, you know, this in response, because even the negative empire, even the Nebu empire, we have to view them from source ultimately. That doesn't mean forgive them, doesn't mean not give them a chance to rehabilitate. If you know who Alavar Jones is, he's an astral warrior, even he went from being of the mindset that the only good reptilian is a dead reptilian. He now has been instructed from source and the powers that be, the Galactic Federation of Light, to, you know, try to give some of these guys a chance, you know, because they may have just grown up in the environment where that's all they've ever known. And it doesn't mean their soul, that, you know, if they're still ensouled, because, you know, gotta realize that a lot of the Nebu Empire involves AI technology and robotics. And so anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but there's a lot of confusion out there. And in my estimation, you know, you're not going to trip me up by worrying about Jews, Judaism, you know, because I mean, it's either one way or the other. You're either service to self and you're part of that whole negative paradigm, or you generally realize that humanity is one, that we must transcend under the law of one. So it's service to self or service to others. And there's no color, there's no this, that, no ethnic, cultural designator in my estimation. A brother and a sister whose soul is in charge of them, their human genetic vehicle, and who realizes that ultimately we must all perish together or transcend together. Now, I mean, I didn't mean that like all of us, because there is going to be a separation, as it says in the Bible, separating the wheat from the chaff. There is that dynamic taking place. But my belief, everybody on this planet right now, regardless of their creed, color, anything in their past, because they can be forgiven, but they have to accept the law of one, ultimately. That's what it's about. But there's a lot of confusion out there. I mean, there's people talking about, you know, we're going through an ascension process. Oh, you know, but then they choose to blatantly ignore anything going on with regard to what's known as draining of the swamp. Okay, because there is a swamp of just nefarious, disgusting individuals that were tied in with the Nebu Empire, the Draconian, Reptilian, and it involved child trafficking, it involved like pedophilia. I mean, it's out there. So that's what draining the swamp has been involved in. And the swamp in the United States, our leadership is that's what they are. It's the swamp creatures in full effect. So, but anyway, you can't, you know, I mean, you can, but meaning that you can separate the ascension process from your where you live, where your grounding is. But see, that's what happened was people just thought, you know, oh, we're just gonna, you know, focus on myself, my spirituality, and ignore, you know, politics to a certain extent. And that's how people got in power that were just evil, disgustingly evil people, because there is no separation. You can't blatantly ignore anything going on with regard to what is known as draining of the swamp, all right? Because the two are definitely related. The ascension of this planet and the confrontation of the evil that's among our human brethren and sisters must be confronted, and the swamp must be drained, okay? So the two are related, the ascension of this planet and the unsavory elements of our leadership, at least in the United States, you know, but it's a worldwide organization. The two are related. It's important that everyone pay attention to what's going on this planet and try to help in whatever way that you can, okay? So some people like to split everyday life, spiritual ascension, like to split our everyday life from the spiritual ascension, because they differentiate one from the other. Like a spiritual life is not one sitting under trees with cross-legged while meditating. All right. A spiritual life is understanding and reflecting upon what's going on earth now and deciding how you feel about it. Your reaction to everything going on is very important and is indicative of how enlightened, and when I say enlightened, I mean of the light, how of much of the light you actually are. Okay. Yeah, light workers and all that, you know, our vibe, our frequency, by and large, you know, there is a role to be played by simply maintaining high frequencies and not engaging in all the kind of, like, you know, political drama and the duality of this world. But somebody has to roll their sleeves up and, you know, and kind of confront the swamp. So that's where I believe is what is known as a light warrior, and that's how I view myself. You know, I roll up my sleeves and get in the ring with where if need be, you know. But that is, you know, my deal right now is I'm still working on myself and my frequencies, and until I'm guided otherwise, you know, I have to be very careful to separate my ego from actual source directive. And, you know, I'm still learning, but enlightened means how much of the light you are, your light quotient. Okay. And maintaining your frequency, yeah, but you need to begin to speak out against what you see as wrong. And it's not based on duality. It's not Republican, Democrat, liberal, this, that. You have to recognize that we are all part and parcel of this. We're all one human family, and we have to embrace the law of one. So, you know, I don't know. It shouldn't be any more complicated than that. And but servants of the light, that's what it's all about. Namaste. Namaskaram.